Can she run quick here tonight? As Tim was saying, pretty perfect conditions, not a breath of wind, it's really warm. This is the track where so many athletes manage to find personal bests. Meeting record, still held by Lashinda Demas 10 years ago. Women's 400-meter hurdles. Starter holding them. Long time.
Set.
Get away safely though. And Corey Carter again out in lane 7 in the yellow has started very quickly indeed. Sydney McLaughlin starting to move up on Russell outside her. A little bit of a gap developing to Spencer in lane 3. And as McLaughlin starts to make inroads into that early lead from Carter, looking a little bit smoother than the world champion, it has to be said. And look at McLaughlin now as we come round the top bend. Just checking there as she changes down. And now moving past Carter, who again is struggling, trying to stretch for that one there. Hainever going well. Spencer starting to come into it right on the inside. So is Clayton. But it's Sydney McLaughlin of the USA. Clear and away down the home straight. Just one more barrier to take. Hainever starting to come back into it with Spencer, but McLaughlin sails over it, is already looking for the clock. Sydney McLaughlin's going to win this one by 10 metres, 53.32 from Spencer. Hainever taking the 3rd spot. Well, the times will come, that's for sure. She's getting quicker and she's improving. A world-leading time, and I have to think that that may not be the first one of the evening. It's such a perfect night here. And surely this young lady is destined for great things in this event. A completely dominant performance. No Dalilah Muhammad, of course, here, but plenty of the other main contenders she'd be facing as we head towards the World Championships later in the year. But she's got a little task of the US trials coming up next. I think that will be a next target. But this, Tim, will set her up nicely.
Really strong field by 8 or 9 metres.
Russell with the season's best, another decent performance from Hainever. Spencer chasing home McLaughlin, but as Tim was saying, she's head and shoulders above them all at the moment. And
G. Wilson is very, very quiet indeed. Her motto indeed is to let her legs do the talking. But she likes a quick pace. Well, very, very long hold there for those athletes. Goodness me, but at least they are underway now. R.J. Wilson, second from top. They're out in lane 7. She goes with the pace here. If Krishuna Williams hits that 56.5, which I think is maybe a click or two optimistic. Well, obviously, it's even with poor maths, you can work out this 153 pace of it to be maintained. But R.J. Wilson looks up for this. She's been in fine form. 158 for second place in California last week, and then she won in Kingston the week before that in 159. And Steve, they've decided not to go with Krishuna Williams, who might have gone off just a little too quickly. I'm not sure how experienced she is at pacemaking, but a little glance around her shoulder right now might not hurt.
Well, she went sub 27 for the first 200. Yeah, it's just a bit quick, even if you try and run 56. And look, she's good. She's slowed down. The others, though, have had to sensibly wait. And this suits Laura Muir because it's a slower pace. Laura's very, very close to Wilson now, who hasn't attacked because the pacemaker was right out there. But to be fair, Wilson could have perhaps got a little bit closer, but he's trying to stretch them now down with 300 metres to go. Gould tucked in with Lindsay Sharp behind her.
R.J. Wilson then has a strung out line behind her. Lindsay Sharp back in 3rd place now with the pacemaker out of it, is just beginning to let a gap develop in front of her, and Laura Muir recognised the danger, but she might have lost critically 2 or 3 metres there. That'll be hard to make up as she heads down the back straight. Behind her is Raven Rogers with the white headband as they go into the final bend. It's still R.J. Wilson who leads. Wilson looking strong but coming under pressure. Trying to get back to them is Laura Muir. That's Natoya Gould, the Commonwealth bronze medalist, on the shoulder of R.J. Wilson. They come into the straight now. Natoya Gould, head back. R.J. Wilson driving for the line, and now under some pressure from Gould. Laura Muir in 3rd place under pressure from Lindsay Sharp. The Scots in 3rd and 4th having a great run here, but it is indeed Wilson who takes it from Gould with Muir and Sharp in 4th place. 61.6 that final lap, second lap, 157.73 from R.J. Wilson. It is a season's best by well over half a second. So I think she'll be satisfied with that, if not absolutely delighted. The last couple of occasions she's raced here, she's gone down to 156 territory. She might have hoped for a little bit more, Stephen. The pacemaker, well, she did go out a little too quickly. I really think that they'd have been better off settling for, say, 57, 57.5 at the bell, and I think R.J. Wilson would have been right up in contact.
Yeah, she's right.
R.J. Wilson, 157.73, then a comfortable win from Gould eventually. Laura Muir, personal best, great stuff. And Lindsay Sharp, that's a really nice punching through the 2-minute barrier and well on.
And what can Samba do, the man who's been so impressive at 400 hurdles? We can't wait to see him, of course, against Ray Benjamin and Varholm in that event. But on the flat here, Samba in lane 3. Starter has been holding them quite a while once they're into their blocks, even in the 800s. They look ready. Full start, lane 4. Kamari Montgomery, very clear. Very clear. Well, they're still running.
Another gun.
Officials have got to stop them. 3 of them, you can't see this on your screen, but we can see them down the back straight. Finally pulling them back. Ray, Jones and Zambrano. Samba has a little wry smile. Now we could have a little bit of a delay here, Tim. They're still going, 2 of them. Ray has stopped.
It's disastrous. Nobody's told them.
Jones has finally stopped. Was it Jones? No, Zambrano has stopped. It's Jones is carrying on.
There's an athlete sprinting down the home straight, out of shot, who has no idea the race never got going properly. Well, he's going to glance across and see athletes standing by their blocks. And Steve, I'd never seen that before. An athlete complete a full lap of the 400 with nobody, no official, not a soul, bothering to get a message across. And in any case, there should have been a much louder report from a second gun.
He's a youngster, but and we'll see the false start here. This is definitely Montgomery, lane 4. There he goes. Now, the outside 3 lanes, they either didn't hear the recall, kept going. I still don't quite understand why Jones, when the athlete outside him stopped on the top end, and he must have known there's nobody else on the track. In the 400 metres, you know that people are around you.
You think you're having a good run, don't you? You think that.
Well, he quite clearly false started. So they go to their marks again without Jonathan Jones and Zambrano. Should have been in lanes 7 and 8. David Ray, who's in lane 6, ran a good solid 150 metres at very least. So we've got Januzic on the inside, Strother of USA, Samba of Qatar, Montgomery the false starter in 4, Stephen Gardner in 5, David Ray in 6. Take 2. And maybe the starting isn't helping either. So they get away safely this time. And those who've got the fresher legs, Gardner certainly you would expect. Samba started very, very quickly. Gardner perhaps not so fast, and it's Samba in lane 3 moving up on Montgomery, with Gardner now elegantly starting to move away down the back straight. A beautiful running action. There he is, Gardner, and he's already now pulling away, but Samba is doing his best to try and stay with him. But Gardner just starting to tighten up a little bit here. Could come under some real pressure from Samba. But Gardner staying tall and staying strong, and those long legs of his start to stretch away. And it's going to be Gardner who'll take the win here from Samba. Strother will get 3rd, 44.51. Not quite the season's best for him, but with everything that was going on, perhaps not unexpected. And in the end, a fairly standard 400-metre race after all the nonsense.
Utterly bizarre, Steve. Really strange that, but great time, 44.51. Wow, and 45 dead for Samba.
Etc. But for the time being, a solid 44.51 for Gardner. Samba 45 flat in 2nd, and Strother took 3rd. Managed to hit that. Suleiman's running well again, former world indoor champion. So the men's 1,500 metres. Alex Swain just got left a little bit, as did 1 or 2 of the others, including Suleiman. So Bram Som will have the task, the very good pace-making Dutchman, of leading them through the first 5, maybe 600 metres. Quebec will try and keep things moving after that. Chariot a little bit slower to get the front, just having a little look behind, so he's clipping his heels, and the two Ingebrigtsens not too far away. Jakob looks as though he wants to get a little bit closer than he did in the early stages in Lausanne. But what an opportunity here. Will Chariot still have the legs after that big run last week?
Well, it was a week ago, Steve. He's easing through into second place now, actually going past one of the pacemakers and urging, I think, the second pacemaker, Quebec, to accelerate. But I know that after last week's win in 3:28 in Lausanne, with the slightly strange pacemaking that went on, he went out in around 150 flat, maybe a click under 150 for 800 metres, which is far from perfect. And he ran 3:28. One or two people began to think that the world record of El Garouge is within his sights. I'm not sure it's going to happen tonight. That world record of El Garouge celebrates its 21st birthday in 2 days' time, but he's looking very much up for Chariot. Look at this, taking the lead.
And there's no need for that. It was a good 55 lap. Bram Son must be thinking, well, what do you want? And now, of course, Chariot's got to slow as Quebec tries his best to try and get back in front of him. Som's now pacing the rest of them. And we've got a big group there with Simotwo and Musagala's up there, the Ingebrigtsens are there. So Timothy Chariot coming round with 2 laps to go, urging the pacemaker to go faster here. Simotwo and Suleiman chasing, Musagala there, Quebec, then the Ingebrigtsens, and then Grice of Great Britain as well as Som drops away.
Well, they're coming up towards 800 metres now. This looks a lot more measured, a lot more sensible than last week, perhaps. 1:51.28. Yes, I think if he'd gone through that last week through 800 metres, then he'd have run a second quicker at least. But Chariot, Quebec, Simotwo, Suleiman back in really good form with that strong run in Lausanne last week. Right up there, and you can see Jakob Ingebrigtsen in 5th place, chomping at the bit to go with this. This is really sensible pacing, Steve, and you can feel the excitement building.
Looks as though it's slowing a little bit. You can see them all gathering, and Suleiman just gets a little nudge from Jakob, who's so authoritative, even though he's in the 18. Grice is moving up on the outside of Suleiman, who looks for a little bit of room as he approaches the bell. There's all sorts in with chances here. McSwain moving up as well. But to the front, the 18-year-old Jakob Ingebrigtsen. Chariot has to give chase now. Only 2:35 at the bell.
Slowish at the bell, yes, 2:30. But what a shame, that last 300 metres after 800 really did dawdle along, and they lost any chance of a really quick time, I think. Although, let's see what they can produce off this one, Steve. I know you used to run your last lap in 53. A 53 here would be, give them still a very, very quick time.
Grice of Great Britain having an incredible run here. It's Chariot from Jakob Ingebrigtsen. Grice of Great Britain, then Suleiman. And Chariot looks a little laboured for me here. He could be under threat in the home straight. Ingebrigtsen looks comfortable. His older brother's back in 4th place. And Grice, who's had a great season, is right there. But Chariot kicks again from the front. He's just sucked them in a little bit. And now he goes away. Timothy Chariot with Jakob Ingebrigtsen chasing him. Grice is there as well. Suleiman, Musagala, they're all finishing very, very quick indeed. But it's going to be Timothy Chariot. He's looking at the clock. Just under 3:30. Well, he kidded them on a little bit there, didn't he? It looked as though they were starting to put pressure on him down the back straight, round the top bend, but he just saved enough. It was a very different race to Lausanne last week. I think it's very difficult to do what he did last week and then improve on that this week, but he hasn't come too far away, has he? 3:29.97. I thought that was really impressive, though. I thought the way he controlled that race, I'm not quite sure why he tried to make the pacemakers go quicker on the second lap, because he didn't really need to. Ingebrigtsen with another great run, and Musagala rewarded with a national record, and Grice as well. National record for Musagala. Grice with that huge personal best, 4th on the British all-time list, but Chariot is our winner, and Ingebrigtsen impressive again.
It's not visible, of course, the full start. When you see a slow-mo like that, it's about pressure on the blocks, isn't it? And it's possible that Near Ali did apply pressure to the blocks, and it wasn't just visible in her body movement. Anyway, I thought that computer, the information there that came up for start times, contradicted what we're now seeing on screen. I thought it suggested Near Ali had full started, but anyway, Seymour is gone. Ali in 2, Williams 3, Kenny Harrison is in 4, Brown 5, Clemens 6, Nelvis 7, Kolacek in lane 8. Good start there from Kenny Harrison, another really good start too from Janique Brown. Janique Brown, centre there of the 7 in the black, looking strong, and also coming through well is Near Ali. Danielle Williams it is, and here comes Kenny Harrison taking that one. There are about 3 or 4 different leaders in that race. I don't think I've ever seen a 100-metre hurdles race with so much changing of position mid-race and through the second half. 12:43. That is mighty quick. It's not as quick as Janique Brown's quickest time in the world this year, but for Kenny Harrison, it's the season's best. She was second on the world rankings with 12:47. And she kept steady, Steve, throughout everything going on around her. You very rarely see at least 3 leaders in a 100-metre hurdles race like that. But Kenny Harrison is so quick between the barriers. That world record in 2016 came at the age of 23. She's still in her prime 20s. There she is in the light blue, third to right, and she had some work to do there to get back. And both the athletes in lanes 3 and lane 5 faltered either side of Kenny Harrison, who stayed strong.
Yeah, Janique Brown gets a great start here right in the middle. And Harrison, although her reaction time was good, just a little bit slow. It's not like her really, but this is where she comes into her own. Williams is going well, but then just starts to fade a little bit as Harrison, so quick between those barriers, and then gets the momentum off the last 2. But you're right, wasn't going her way for a long way, but pulled it back. A new season's best for her. 12:43 looks good. Williams second.
So there it is, Kenny Harrison 12:43, Williams 12:52. She led right through to the about hurdle 8, and Clemens in third place earlier and be somewhat inspired. Amos there has the meeting record at 1:42.1 from last year. Well, you don't get conditions much better than this. This is one of the great cathedrals of middle distance running, this stadium in Monaco. The flags on the western end of the stadium are hanging absolutely still. There's not a breath of wind here. And if Harun Abda can do a good job as pacemaker and they go with this, who knows what the likes of Amos or Tuka can do. Jake Whiteman second from the back, taking things very steadily at the moment with just Kajot behind him. But they have gone off quickly. 7 men in this field have run under 1:45 this year. It's a really packed field. And 8 men here have personal best of under 1:44, Steve. And it is quick, almost single file at 300.
36 through 300, 23.7 the first 200, 23.8 for Amos, going at this with real intent. 48.7 at the lead. He was only a tenth or so behind. Look how spread out they are. Maybe 1 or 2 a little further back will do well here, because this is quick. And you've got to be strong to stay with this pace.
Well, that's incredibly quick. One of the quickest first laps I've ever seen. Under 49 seconds. Amos was right there. He would have been at the slowest, about 49 seconds dead, as he heads down this back straight. Is he going to get caught, though? Has he been just a little bit too rash with that halfway split? He's got a gap of 2 or 3 metres at the moment. Back in second place and looking strong in the all blue is Rotich. They come round the bend and into the straight. They're still strung out in single file, but they're shifting here. And Amos, with that rather ungainly style of his, the arms flailing. Rotich in second place, big gap behind him as the rest of them come through. Look at Tuka trying to come through for third place. But watch the clock. It's going to be quick for Amos. Crossing the line, 1:41.89. That's the quickest time in the world for 2 or 3 years. A new meeting record for Nigel Amos. He came here last year and won. He wins again here tonight. 1:41.89. I can tell you that apart from Amos himself, only 4 other men have ever gone under 1 minute 42 seconds. David Rudisha's record, 1:40.91, still stands proud out there as the only time under 1:41, but 1:41 for Nigel Amos there, 1:41.89. Rotich, 1:42.54. Season's best for Tuka. He's back as well.
Wow. Well, hats off to him. I said you've got to be strong if you go out at that pace. You've got to trust yourself to go out at that pace. You've got to think you've got the pace, the strength to hang in there. He went through 600 metres in 75.2. A lot of people would be delighted with that as a personal best for 600 metres, and kept going, kept it together. He's tired here. Look at the others decimated behind, and they're running 1:43s and 1:44s. 1:41.89. A big performance from Rotich in second place as well. Tuka, all sorts of big times behind them. A national record for Vasquez, Kajot with a decent run. But Amos, for me, you know, we've talked about career and him getting better by the time we get to Doha. Well, he's going to have to be very, very good to get close to Amos.
World lead and new meeting record for Nigel Amos. 1:41.89. Rotic, Tuka, very quick indeed. Saruni, McBride there, fifth in 1:43.
200 metres, the Olympic champion over 200 versus the Olympic champion over 400 metres. Throw in Talu and the world champion over 200 metres, Daphne Skippers. Great racing prospects. Skippers is in lane 7, Miller Weibo in lane 6, Elaine Thompson in 5, Talu in 4. Another long hold in the set position, but they get away safely. And Talu started the quicker, the diminutive athlete in lane 4, already up on the Olympic champion Thompson. And Miller Weibo has run a very good bend indeed, and outside her Skippers, all with chances here. Daniel's having a good run, but it's now Miller Weibo starting to pull away from the others. Thompson is trying to hang on to second, but it's Miller Weibo who takes it in 22.09. She might be a little disappointed with the time. I'm sure she would have hoped for sub 22 seconds, but that will come. The main thing for her, from her perspective, is that she's beaten the Olympic champion and the world champion tonight, and her season's best. Well, she stayed in contact round the bend when they could have put her in a little bit more pressure. She's been very relaxed here in Monaco, doing interviews with all sorts of different people, and as her season builds, her husband is with her here watching as well. You just wonder whether this will be the event she targets come Doha.
Absolutely right, Steve, yes. Takes her a little time to get underway. Her first 50 isn't always the quickest, but once she builds up that head of steam, those long legs, look at that transition into the straight, absolutely brilliant. And then she starts easing away, and she's pulling away there from fabulous athletes, the likes of Elaine Thompson, Marie-Josée Talu. Skippers comes through pretty strongly. She's gradually clawing her way back to good form. Skippers third there with the season's best. But Miller Weibo, yes, I think the times will come, Steve. You don't know what they've been doing in training these athletes. They've all got one eye, of course, on the calendar and the fact that the World Championships are like 10 weeks away.
Good win, great win actually for Miller Weibo. Kept her foot on the pedal, didn't she? Right to the line this time. 22.09. Thompson just ahead of Skippers with a season's best, 22.45. Which have been grabbing the headlines, but Shauna Miller Weibo ran there pretty quick, didn't she, in the 200 metres? How quick can the men go here? The meeting record is actually held by Gatlin. It would have to be under 9.78 to beat that. So the men's 100, Justin Gatlin in lane 3, Divine Oduduru in 4, Noah Lyles is in lane 5. Lyles gets a very good start. So does Oduduru, just drifting over to Gatlin. Gatlin starting to move away with Lyles, and Mike Rogers going well as well. It's going to be Gatlin who gets it though. 9.91. Despite a decent start, Lyles never ever got moving there, and Gatlin was the one who came through. Well, it will please his fans, and it might just make Lyles think. He's talked a lot about, I'm only doing the 200 unless I could really show I can compete with the 100-meter men, unless I can run really fast. Well, he's just been beaten by a 37-year-old. It wasn't one of Lyles' best runs, I have to say that. But Gatlin, another win. And, well, he keeps winning at this stage. Who knows? He is the world champion, of course. So he will be there to defend his title in Doha. Doesn't have to win his place in the team.
Lyles there. I didn't think he did get that great a start, Steve. You can see there, I think he's down on Oduduru. Gatlin blasting through the middle section of the race. And Lyles, when you expect him to come through and catch athletes, well, maybe he can't catch the reigning world champion at 100 metres, an Olympic champion as well. Look at that, Gatlin there, easing ahead around halfway. So powerful. He's a big fella, Gatlin, too. He's deceptive, his build, because he's so strong, so solid. He looks like he's 5'10", 5'11". He's not. He's about 6'1". He's a huge fella. And Lyles there, I never really felt he hit top speed here tonight. So it's not the same Noah Lyles as we saw in Lausanne a week ago. There he is, left of picture, but he didn't have that maintaining of speed through the last 30 that would normally carry him past opponents.
Right, well, Gatlin is the winner. It won't get the headlines tonight because we've had a world record, of course. But for him, that's a massive boost. Winning in 9:91 ahead of Lyles, ahead of Rogers, who ran well. Odedur
here tonight. Look out too for Wale. We saw him earlier on. He is World Junior bronze medalist last year. Was second in Rome and winner in Rabat. And he's run 8:06 this year. Very quick as the 18-year-old Ethiopian. So away they go. The pacemakers, though, first pacemaker should be Kipsang. Second pacemaker, Kipyego, to project them towards a time of close to 8 minutes. The fastest time in the world this year, actually fairly modest for this stage of the season at 8:06. It is Wale who holds that. Keegan has also run 8:06 this season. He's second fastest in the world, and Wale slots right in there behind the pacemakers. In third place there, I think, on the inside. Fourth place, in fact, if you discount Kipsang out in front in the yellow, or include Kipsang out in the yellow. Looks like it's going to be quick, Stephen. Of course, you need people to take up the early pace, fill those gaps, perhaps.
Yeah, and I think the issue probably at the moment, Tim, is who here is the favourite. We've seen people. Wale, as you said, has run very, very well. Keegan has run well, and Hilary Bohr's got up there early on. There's no Conselsus Kipruto. We haven't seen him for quite a while now. Actually, we haven't seen him. He ran the Kenyan Cross Country Championships earlier in the year, and we haven't seen him since. So you're waiting for someone to sort of go with the pacemakers, be the one to take everybody on here, be the one to take a chance tonight.
So the pacemaker's doing a good job at the moment. Bohr is going with the pace, though. Hilary Bohr, 7th in Rio and 2nd in Doha right at the beginning of the summer, then 5th in Rabat 3-4 weeks back. He's an 8:08 performer at his best, is Hilary Bohr. Runs for the USA, the former Kenyan. And it is quick, almost single file after less than 2 laps in the steeplechase. Bohr sizing up those barriers and going with the pacemakers.
Well, the Olympic champion is having a bit of a renaissance here. His best night since, well, just about since that night in Rio. Cleared 5:82 already, 5:92. Oh, and he's done it again. No wonder he cheers. Actually saw him today wandering off by himself for a bit of a walk, maybe to gather his thoughts, but he certainly has looked fitter this year than he has done for a little while. And now, well, 5:92, you're back with the big boys again. You're a threat again. Lisek next. He's just seen the Olympic champion go clear. He knows he can do 6 meters now. 5:92 for the big strong pole here. Oh, and he goes clear. What a night. What another great night of pole vaulting we have in store here. Lisek has not failed at all, at anything, all night long. Lisek goes clear at 5:92. Others are now under an awful lot of pressure. No more La Villani. Duplantis, over to you. He's had a clear card so far. Exactly mimics that of Lisek. The 19-year-old Swede, based in America, of course. Oh, he goes clear as well. Duplantis. Now 3 of them clear at 5:92. So, Kendrick's yet to go at this. See if he can get over it. But Duplantis and Lisek leading the way here with Braz.
Well, they come through below us now with 4 laps to go in this steeplechase. Let me tell you, they went through 1 kilometre in 2:37. That's way inside 8-minute pace. It's only a click outside world record pace. So Kipsang leading from Bohr, then Kibiwat, then Keegan, Wale, El Bakali, Bet. And they're strung out and hardly surprising because they're moving at about 7:54 tempo. And if I tell you that the world record stands at 7:53 by Shaheen back in 2004 in Brussels. What, 15 years old now, almost 15 years old, that record. You'll understand that they are tanking along here. Now, this middle kilometre is critical, and it's usually where they slow up in this very, very tough discipline. But that is Indian file, slowed right down. I say, strung out, these men, mid-race. Good job done by the pacemakers, Steve.
Yeah, very good, and just starting to gather back together again. So Kipsang doing a grand job out in front, keeping this going. Hillary Ball committed early, rewarded with that. Keegan just having a little look behind to see what he's got for company, but Kibiwat looks very comfortable to me, and he fancies getting a little bit closer to Kipsang.
3 laps to run. Bohr, whose number has dropped down over his shorts. I'm not sure if that's annoying him or not, but they're beginning to close up now, and the pacemaker needs to step aside now and let the racing get on.
Well, Kendrick's in trouble here, having passed after one failure at 87. He needs to clear this. No. Well, he hasn't looked himself tonight for me, Kendricks. He just looked a little bit flat right from the early stages. So Kendricks, on a night of nights in the pole vault, goes out at 5.92. Only 2 attempts at that height because he had one failure at 5.87.
Well, we're looking for the 2 kilometre split here in this men's steeplechase. Remember, it was 2:37 at 1K. Kipsang from Kibiwat, Bohr and Keegan. And they're bunching now. They have indeed slowed. 5:24 at 2 kilometres, so that second kilometre did indeed slow pretty substantial. It was about 10 seconds slower than the first kilometre. What a shame as they go through with 2 laps to run. It's Wale now, my pre-race favourite. He tops the world rankings, but he's just been so consistent this summer. He hits the front, just 18 years old, from Kibiwat, then Keegan and Bohr. And El Bakkali is there. He's having a much better run than he did in Rabat, where so ironically he had a bit of a disastrous night in front of his home fans. These 5, though, you could throw a blanket over them. Big blanket.
Wait, it's all one for El Bakkali. He's just tripping over his own feet or those of Bohr. This is the part of the race where El Bakkali fell apart when the pace, he looked okay with 2 laps to go. He looked as though he was there, and then when they really got going, he kind of fell apart a little bit. But he's there tonight. He's got a chance. 4 men in front of him, but others closing behind. Somebody's got to break out here as they come round. That's the penultimate time over the water jump. They've got 500 metres left. Wale, as Tim was saying, looking really good, but El Bakkali could be a danger this time.
Well, any one of these men could be a danger. They're so tightly bunched. Keegan over that one, okay. Kibiwat on the inside. Bohr on the outside, the smallest of that leading trio. Then El Bakkali. And Wale in 5th place. They hit the bell. The clock's on 7:04.5. El Bakkali negotiates that barrier okay. There's 5 men there. Now, who's going to lose patience and kick the earliest? 6 men there, in fact, because also going well is Caro. Having a fabulous run is Fernando Caro of Spain, European Championship silver medalist last year. He's right up there with the headband at the back of this group, up amongst the best of the East Africans. It's Keegan, a little glance over his shoulder there, takes that one well. Kibiwat on the inside, grimacing there as he kicks Keegan, flailing arms towards the water jump for the final time, gets a little bit of a gap. Good there over the barrier. They don't bother to put their foot in it. The top fellas these days, they fly through the air above that water jump. And it's Keegan now has daylight between himself and Kibiwat in 2nd place in the white. Wale in 3rd. El Bakkali normally can finish fast. Caro having a great run in 5th place. Bohr back in 6th place. And here comes El Bakkali. He won it last year. He's going to win again tonight. The Moroccan takes it. 8:04.82. It's the fastest time in the world this year. And he has indeed bounced back in spectacular style and wins here tonight in astonishing style with that surge over the final 50 or 60 metres off the final barrier to take the win. Well, the Moroccans have quite some tradition in the steeplechase. And for Ricardo, that may well have been a Spanish record. It's looking very, very close indeed. Wale sets a national record, 8:05.51 for Ethiopia. Keegan a personal best, a world lead there for El Bakkali. Yes, I can, and he does. 8:04.82 for a world lead. Keegan a personal best nonetheless, even though he's beaten. Wale, national record. Caro, a national record. That's fabulous for Ethiopia and Spain. And a good 6th at Pre and 4:02. So here we go. The women's Brave Like Gabe mile. Named such in honour of Gabe Grunewald, who passed away from cancer last month after a long 10-year battle, several bouts of surgery and chemotherapy. And she, in her resilience and determination to keep on racing, became a symbol for the battle to try and overcome adversity. And the pacemaker there, goodness me, Liakova blasted away, then comes almost to a halt down the home straight. What was she thinking of? She must have run the first 100 in about 13.5 seconds, and then eased right back when she realised she was 10 metres ahead after 150. That was utterly bizarre. But they are beginning to move along nicely now, and I think that's Debu Stafford in second place, Hassan in third place, but not ideal, Steve.
Well, the problem is, you see, Hassan never starts quick, so the pace is for her. She's sat at the back, Liakova looks behind, no one's gone with it, they're all waiting for Hassan to get there. Hassan took too long. If you've asked for the pace, which she has, you've got to latch onto it quickly. Liakova wanted to wait. You're absolutely right, Tim, though. She waited too much, didn't she? She slowed too much. But now they're into it. Now they've got a rhythm going. Not too bad, actually, for that first lap now.
Well, 64.26 at 400 metres. There was a somewhat silly pace suggested they would go out at 2:04 for 800. They're not going to be anything like that if they're under 2:08. I'll be surprised. So that was a little bit slow in some respects compared with what they wanted, and certainly Hassan, who has the strength to come back strongly in the second half, will be looking to go no slower on this second lap. Liakova there takes them out. Debu Stafford behind her. Hassan, and then right at the back is Melissa Courtney at the moment. Quite tightly bunched, these 13 ladies, as they begin to stretch out a little bit now. Segai in third place. Liakova now beginning to stride out, and Hassan beginning to warm to the task. It's almost like she takes about 600 metres to get up to full speed, Hassan. It's bizarre, but who can forget, if they saw it, that astonishing European record for 3,000 metres in Stanford 2 weeks ago, 8:18. She has enormous strength and speed. What will her second half be like as she goes to 800 and 2:08.2?
Yeah, the others stretched out behind her. They maybe might have wanted to be a bit closer, some of them, because Hassan's not gone that quick here. When she ran 4:14 in London, she was much quicker in the early stages, and she's faded a little bit perhaps on the last lap, but maybe we're going to see something a bit different from her. Sigai's going to have to try and hang on, but look at the big gap starting to develop as this pace picks up. It's harder to run it that way. You want it even paced. It's been even paced, but a little bit of a quicker second lap, and now Hassan will try and wind it up and use her strength here to get rid of Sigai.
Well, Sigai there in second place has got the perfect pacemaker in effect in the figure of Sifan Hassan. The only problem is that Hassan is a 1:56 800-metre runner and a 65-minute half marathon runner, and any distances in between are very, very dangerous for her opponents, because she can hold this high speed for a long, long time. And indeed, as they come down towards the bell, there's a gap of about 15-17 metres behind these two. There's a yawning gap behind them. They go through in 3:10.13. That lap is 61.9.
Yeah, it's a good strap on for third. Laura Waitman starting to move up there, but these two well clear. Sigai's going to pay for this a little bit, I think, because Hassan has this strength now. We've seen it. What can she do? Opening up down that back straight. A good time on here for her. How quick will it be?
Well, 3:10 at the bell. The world record for Mastakova from 1996 is 4:12.56. I don't think we're going to see that, but what can Hassan run for this final lap? When Mastakova set the world record, she won a final lap of about 60 seconds, give or take a couple of tenths. She's blasting it around the final bend there, Hassan. The gap is monstrous. It's got to be 35 metres back to Segai. The pack are closing up on her as her legs begin to falter. But Hassan now into the home straight. 4 minutes on the clock. She's got 70 metres to go. Driving towards the line. It's going to be mighty close to the world record. That first lap may have set things dry. She's going to get there. Wow, 4:12.33. She has got the world record. Unbelievable. It never looked on at 800 metres. She's covered her second half, Steve, in what, 2:08 at halfway. She's covered her second half in what, 2:06? About 2:06 flat, I would say, give or take a couple of tenths. Unbelievable. I never thought it was on as she went through the bell, 3:10. But the race was run to her fashion. 64.2 at 400 metres, 2:08.2 at 800 metres. And I think that's taken a lot of people, including myself, by surprise, that world record. Steve and I are looking at each other with 60 or 70 to go, going, maybe this is on. So I'd love to know what she covered the 300 in from the bell, round to 100 to go. Absolutely astonishing from Sifan Hassan. And that world record of Mastikova has existed since 1996 in Zurich, another of the great stadia for middle distance running. In her world record, it couldn't have been more different. Mastikova went out in 62 as opposed to 64 today. The split's totally different, but what a result for Sifan Hassan of Holland.
You asked the question, Tim. I think 42 seconds. Can it be that quick? 3:10. I'm looking at it now. Sorry, it was a little bit slower than that, obviously. I'll do my maths in a minute. Doesn't matter. What a performance. This is where she does it. When you've got the strength that you talked about with that 3,000 meters, Sigai paid for it. Laura Waitman came through to finish second. They were all chasing, having run a bit slower. Nobody could do what Hassan could do, though. That, I know we've looked at that world record in the past and thought, goodness me, that world record may not be broken for a long time. But Hassan, chatting to her today, I know you and I, we see her around the hotel. She's incredibly popular with all the other athletes. This will be a very popular world record. But this is her digging deep and reward for me, for a fabulous athlete who's a joy to watch, does it the right way, and has been rewarded with a fabulous world record. Great times behind. I think Laura Waitman just missed the British record by 2 or 3 hundredths of a second, but that is a new world record.
Isn't it just? 4:12.33. She wins by 5 seconds, but that's a brilliant run from Waitman, under 4:20 there in this mile here tonight. Debut Stafford, a Canadian national record, 4:17.87. Segai 4:18, a national record for the Ethiopian, even though she was way down.